looks like we got a new friend!
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to today's show. Today we are going to do a little bit of recounting, a little bit of chatting, and maybe a little bit of horrific stuff. Let's see what goes on in the brain of Charlie. First of all, let's go around and introduce ourselves as we prepare ourselves for the murder shack. We'll start with our one...
That's my branding, the murder show.
No, the murder shack, sorry.
I heard show, but okay.
Sorry. This is like the loose slats all over again. So let's
The what?
It was a barrel with loose slats, but it sounded like I said sluts. It was, you know.
Okay.
I killed Kelly. She was dead for like 20 minutes. She muted herself, but you can still hear her laughing through someone else's mic. Let's start by introducing our wonderful keeper, Charlie. Oh hi.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
I'm good. So yeah, as you kind of mentioned today, doing something slightly different. Because I'm not in the mood for super creepy stuff right this second. So, gonna dive into a Q&A of sorts with the wonderful cast and crew here. In character, out of character, and then maybe at the end we'll go to the cabin and we'll see how I'm feeling by that point. Because today was a day, TM, with horrible people doing horrible things. So I'm here in our safe little place here on Scaricus's channel, and with some of my favorite people and some of my favorite people to play with. So.
And we die. Now, Bug Mum extraordinaire, currently mum to some brand new maggots. Let's welcome Ephemeroptera. Oh, hi, Anna.
Yes, I am the brand new mother to a set of beautiful maggots. I am playing Helena Hawthorne in this game. I think this week we will be exploring our characters, so I'm really excited to learn more about everyone else and my character, and I'm
Looks like we
excited to
got a
see
new
where we go with this story because it's really fun. And again, these people are really fun to play with, really nice people, and I really enjoy this game. So, yay! Questions?
Next around the table, we have web producer Travis Bowles. Oh, hi, Travis.
Oh, hi, Scraticus, Mr. Scraticus. Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. Very glad to see that Alice has returned to good health and that Anna is here. Eyebrows look great. And so, yes, I'm playing Eddie Strebeck. His nose has fallen off. He has a handkerchief tied around his face. He's flipping out. I had a blast last week finding out more about him, and so this game keeps me up at night with excitement and anticipation and terror, and I'm very glad to be here.
And that's why we love you, Travis. That's why we love you. Next around, we have my wonderful wife, headmistress at the academy, runner of games and crusher of souls, Alice.
Okay, that I'm gonna add to my CV just as a
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so excited to be back now that I can breathe and everything again after so ill last week. But I'm really looking forward to this session, and as Bug Mum said, which is what I'm gonna call her now, I really like exploring characters. So just a bit of a Q&A, sort of in character and out of character. I'm really looking forward to discovering a bit more about all the other characters, but probably a bit more about my character, because I always find that happens in these sort of things as well. And I am playing Lucia Miller, who is
Scary.
okay, we'll go with that. Soul Crusher, we went with that. So we're
a
just
strong, independent woman.
I'm a strong, independent
Scary
woman.
Yeah.
And
You're
Bert
intimidated
has,
by that, that's your problem.
yeah,
I'm not saying the problem doesn't lie with me, okay? Like,
Bert has problems. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. So yeah, awesome.
that just leaves me. I'm playing Bert Morecambe, who believes he's a strong male American, doing his best to keep the ladies of America safe. But actually, he's more of an alcoholic failure who doesn't accept that, you know, people have life choices. Also, me as Scraticus, I am a person who is none of those things. In fact, I like to promote inclusivity, safety, and all those sort of things. And if you like that sort of thing as well, you should join in on our social links. We've got Discord in there where you can find all of them sort of great things. If you want to come and play in an environment like that, send me a DM on Twitter and I'll get you in one of our free viewer games. We still have spaces before Christmas, but they're filling up fast now. They are filling up fast. You need to get in fast, everyone. YouTube. My YouTube is now a well-oiled machine. Okay, we've got thumbnails, we've got descriptions, we've got things going up the day after they were streamed, 24 hours in. Playlists. We have playlists automatically uploading to playlists. It's pretty. It's pretty, you guys. It's pretty. You should go and check it out.
Good to hear that.
What else have we got? We've got we've got other things. We've got oh, we're full time. So yeah, you can see up at the top there. It's not actually 3 days to go. It's actually 2 days to go. But I haven't updated the text file yet because I you know, I can't have a well-oiled YouTube and a well-oiled stream. That, you know, you get one or the other. Those are your choices, guys. It's 2 days to go because our month resets on the 17th. We've already beat our monthly cost goal, so I couldn't have been happier with our progress this month. Thank you very much to everyone, and thank you very much for trying to get us over to Gen Con as well. What a stretch goal, and what a great amount of love we are feeling from all of you. I've just realised I also don't have my sponsors on screen. Let's put them on screen while I talk about them, because they're very amazing people too. Pro streamer.
I say you alright there?
Yeah.
Right?
I was literally just doing a just
He's
doing,
like, we've lost him.
I was just doing a tutorial yesterday on how to, like, you know, make your stream look professional. I put it on YouTube and everything, and now here I am today, like, oh, all right, well, streaming, this is a thing, right?
I saw that. I'm gonna watch it.
Patreon. If you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon also. We have regular content going up. Thank you very much, Montoya, for the... You didn't have them last week either. Sorry, Justin. Justin's Twitter of Vecna. He's one of my sponsors.
Someone arm Justin with the bell of shame.
Shame. Shame. He already has it. He already has it. I hear it in my mind. Okay, so we've got our sponsors on screen now. They're now in the bottom right corner. You should go and check both of them out. They are Bird in the Storm Publishing and Mage Hand Press, which is Twitter of Vecna. You can find Mage Hand Press every Thursday, 1 PM EST, where we play in Alice's game, Argo 37, and play with their Dark Matter content. And
so
Bird in the Storm, they'll bring in content to us in the new season. They will be putting in content between shows, so our streams will be live longer, streaming episodes of their thing.
Secrets, yeah.
Yeah, secrets. Secrets.
stop
Redacted, secrets, redacted. On to, we also have merchandise. It's a great time to get merchandise because there's lots of conventions coming up, and at the moment, these notebooks are on 2 for 10% off. So if you buy 2, you get 10% off. So if you want to go and check it out, go and check it out.
I need a shirt.
You need a shirt? Yeah,
I want a Strategy.
We've got hoodies. Hang on.
We have.
Ooh.
We have hoodies.
Are they zip up or are they full?
You can get either.
Oh, that you can get either. That is my hoodie, Alice, which should be in the wash ready for MCM Comic Con.
That one is that
but
one
it's-
better.
You know where the laundry machine is.
Alice, that is your
Just because
hoodie,
I'm a woman.
which should also be in the wash. No, the problem isn't that she's not doing the laundry. That's not the problem. The problem is that the clothes don't end up in the laundry because Alice hoards them. That's. She's like, but they're so soft. I'm like, yes, but Alice, they can be soft at MCM. Anyway.
And they will.
Anyway, I'm getting massively sidetracked. What else do we have? We have a competition which might have ended by now. I really need to check in on that. But when that competition ends, we'll just throw up another one with some more Pride dice, which are here. For a second, I thought Hildy had been at them. They're rainbow coloured, but they look awful on screen at the minute. But check out the tweet where Alice has made a picture of them, and they look really pretty.
I made a picture of what? Oh, the dice. I really like them, actually. I think
We also have a tweet. We might queue up the tweets. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how we feel. What do you think, Charlie? Shall we the retweets this week? Shall we stack them to go into Wild Magic Surges next week or later?
Stack them.
Yeah? Okay. So the Wild Magic Surges this week will be counted,
Yes.
and they will be well.
That is the horrible thing.
Since we're counting them, we've already hit 10. We're at 11. I know it says 0 at the moment, but let me just update that as I actually look at the damn thing.
And anyone who donated last week, I know Mal was one of these people who didn't see their wild magic surges come to life or didn't see their bad things happen. They're in my brain. Don't worry, they're gonna happen.
Yeah, no,
They just-
Charlie is far more on top of it than I have ever been. That is the cold hard truth. Charlie has these things, these magic. I think they're magical items that she carries around with her. They're called notes. I'm not sure what they are. I'm not sure how they work.
Strack's never done notes ever.
It's you know it's
Ever.
interesting. Anyway, Charlie, shun.
So I think what I would like to do today is I happen to know that Travis has written a summary of what happened last time.
Oh god.
By last time, I mean not last week, the week before. Because last week we did a mini game with Scrat and Trav, delving into Bert and Eddie's histories, into a terrible memory. And I think while maybe Travis, if he is happy to, shares those details, I like people to put in chat any questions they have, either for the cast, to address them to Alice, Anna, Adam, or Travis, or to the characters, Helena, Bert, Eddie, or Lucia, or to myself. Just Charlie, it's fine. And I will try and make a mental note, try and catch them all, and we'll kind of work through what you guys would like to talk about. And we'll talk about some things that we want to talk about this game. So I think that's going to be our...
I've already got one queued up. I know one thing that I want to talk about, and it's more just praising people.
So before we get to praise, which I...
Nope. praising for you.
Or
Let's get going with our summary of so what even did happen before we arrived at the murder shack, which we're
Okay.
slowly postponing, but we will get to because I'm very excited
yes,
about
which was show 4,
it. Mm-hmm.
right? 4. Okay. Yes. For those of you keeping score at home, the first 4 shows took us this far. So Bert Markham, intrepid private eye, continues to investigate his missing daughter, and there really aren't any leads. And he's also found that the trains going in and out of town have been shut down, and he's taken some mysterious phone calls, and he's currently. Am I right about that, Charlie? That currently he is not experiencing much luck in
Yeah,
finding.
he's finding a lot of doors are closed to him, and every time he gets a lead, it kind of ends up being shut down in one way or another. That's his experience. That was totally the fault of a wild magic search. So thank you, chat.
Man, I looked at the 10,000, the net Librum, whatever magic surge table, and the rest of my hair fell out. Lucia, meanwhile, mob daughter Lucia Miller is in the middle of a mob war that has seen her brother wounded, the rest of her brothers in hiding, and her restaurant apparently poisoned as of the morning of show 4. And she's taken a bump on the head. She's had to shake down some shady people for some leads about what's happening to her family, and so the water is rising in the mob world here in Privacy, and she is right in the middle of it. And meanwhile, Helena Hawthorne, brilliant writer, is now waist deep in the investigation into the secret origins of the courthouse in Privacy, New York, where the trial that we are all on the jury of is taking place. The courthouse is terrible, and it's got some bizarre architecture, and it's crazy. So we had to find out more about it, and so Eddie and Helena went to the library, and while we were tracking down leads, Helena found a newspaper with more info on the lonely cabin in the woods that was the site of the grisly murder that is at the center of the trial that's about to begin tomorrow in the timeline, right in Privacy. Am I right about that, Charlie?
Tomorrow, Thursday, is the big day. Everyone
Thursday.
had the day off on Wednesday. Yes.
So at this point, we are sometime in the middle of Wednesday, in a truck. But anyway, we'll get to that. So Helena witnesses a strange figure in the photograph of the cabin in the paper that really at this point only she is able to see because people keep failing their spot hidden rolls. And and meanwhile, Eddie's false nose fell off and shattered, and he was none too happy about that. And so as madness in the afternoon began to creep in, Eddie and Helena decided that they had to get a look at this cabin to conduct their own investigation before they are impaneled on the jury tomorrow. And so, we ran, Eddie and Helena ran to the restaurant to collect Lucia and then also Bert. The 4 of us went out in a truck, and everything was fine until the ladies had a harrowing vision that only they could see, and were transported to some horrifying Joan of Arc French resistance psychodrama. And while they were dealing with that, imprisoned in their own minds, the truck ran off the road with me and Bert in the back of it, and we were plunged into the water, and Bert and I managed to extract the ladies from the cab of the truck. I remember being told that I was thrown clear, so that's fun. And so that is the pin was then put in it there that the truck is in the water, both literally and metaphorically, and we are going to, when we pick up with our heroes, we will see them in the aftermath of the truck accident, and we are like a short distance from the murder cabin is the other part. is
Yeah,
the other-
as you looked up out of that algae-stained green water, across the pond still settling with its ripples, there's this wooden cabin, which is unmistakable from that picture that Helena had found in the paper. The exact same trees around it. You can't see the number on the cabin right now, but you just know that is the cabin that you have somehow ended up at. The cabin in the woods. So
And I would also like to point out that all of that is badass. And I love that on Twitter now for like 2 weeks has been people like murder cabin, murder cabin, murder cabin. And I love the hype for where we're at in this
Yeah.
midpoint.
And women drivers, you know, who gives these women
Whoa.
licenses? You know, like who
All right.
you know, they are frail people that need to be looked after. I don't think
This
they
is
should
life
be,
imitating art, by the way.
you know, I don't think they should be driving these tons of metal around on the roads. You know, I think that's a job for a young boy. You know, what we need is a 14-year-old boy who can come and drive our car for us. That's
You're
what we
so
need.
Right back on the Scraticus channel. We're
we're getting a call from the PR people. Hold on.
So brave saying that when you're just downstairs from me.
You know, I'm speaking in character, of course.
So, Scrat, you had something that you wanted to talk about today. Why don't we come to that?
Ah, the wild magic surges, Charlie. That's what I want to talk about. As a person who loves being an improv DM and pride myself on being able to improv anything, the way that you work in the wild magic surges is inspirational. Like,
so good.
making them plot critical, making them affect the players in ways that they don't really realize, taking things that shouldn't work and twisting them so that they work so damn well. I'm just gonna throw praise at you. Like,
Can I as well? Like,
Yes, me too.
I'll just repeat, but yeah.
I want to thank chat because they're the ones who bring that to the game. I was really nervous about working with wild magic surges, especially in Call of Cthulhu, because a lot of these surges are designed for D&D.
yes.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a community that's been built around 5e D&D, and that's great. Now offering a lot of other different types of games and continuing that diversity. But yeah, I was really concerned. And then I know last week one that stood out to me was we got, I forget what number it was, but it summoned Vecna. And I'm like, this is the Cthulhu universe. I don't want to put Vecna in this universe as Vecna. And so I took what I knew about, this is the other thing, is I don't know huge amounts about Vecna. I know that you know, they have the hand thing and the eyeball thing. And so I just kind of was like, okay, I know these are things. And I just tried to just make it work. And I never want it to feel like the wild magic surges are making the story, because the players are making the story.
Mm-hmm.
The wild magic surges are just there to add inspiration and like launch points, never to disrupt, but always to
Flavor.
build. Yeah, exactly. That's how I want to approach it, especially with Call of Cthulhu. Kind of inspired by the way Jim Davis did it with Warhammer, where he was using it as the chaos winds were bringing it in. With Call of Cthulhu, these are the insanity winds. These are those forces coming into play. And I do my best to just try and make it fit and not feel jarring.
You do it so well, and I think Scrat and I have always said to everyone as well, it's DM's discretion. If it's 2 D&D, re-roll it. Like, it's absolutely fine, because we don't want it to take over a story, but the way you manage to flavor the story with them is so good, like so good. So yeah.
And I mean, there's bound to be, eventually, we're going to find a wild magic surge that just won't work in this. It happens in all games, but they're also worth leaving in, because in other games, they're really, really relevant, you know? Like, it's sometimes, like, I think the best thing we ever did was making it DM discretion, re-rolls, because it's worked so well. And Ryutama is probably one of the ones where we have to re-roll quite often, because it is so different to, like, at least D&D has, you know, regular people in it, whereas Ryutama's anime. So it's like, you know, like, but yeah, the way you work in Wild Magic Surges, I just wanted to call light to that, punch my mic a little bit, and go from there. Yeah.
And for me, that brings me around to the mini games that we played last week when Alice and Anna went with us. And it was kind of like an hour before that I kind of was confirmed that Anna's internet unfortunately wasn't good enough, and Alice wasn't well enough, and I was like, I don't want to just drag you guys in to do something for the sake of it, but at the same time we have this time and you're there already and we've kind of got the effort. And I was like really inspired by The King is Dead and the way there are mini games and that, and so I tried to build a mini game. And props to you guys for going with it, and the improv you brought by being the NPCs, because I kind of put you on the spot. I said you were going to be NPCs in these scenes and you need to create, and really that's just down to the cast being ready to just go with things, and that's a gift, I think. And so on that front, I was curious your perspectives on the mini games and what you thought of them and if you enjoyed them.
When do I start screaming about it? It was amazing. I loved the ability to come and be NPCs as well. I really relished that. I'm sorry, Travis, but I enjoyed torturing you with your old friend. Okay,
that was brilliant.
I'm just gonna put it out there. Okay, I'm a sadistic person. I loved it. It was great.
Well, your southern accent is particularly fun. I went back and watched the video, and you're like, "Come on, Eddie," and I'm like, "Oh my God, hold on, is this what we're doing for the next hour?" Because that's amazing. You did a brilliant job.
Well, you too, though. Like the whole eating banana bread in the corpse room. Like,
oh man,
I'm sitting there like, I'm literally sitting there trying to stay in character, but all my brain can tell me is Travis has a delicious mind. That's what, like, literally all that's going through my head. You know, like, obviously you as well, Charlie, but just I love, like, when you come up with, like, random little things that just flavor things and bring so much uniquity, like your Tijuana Bibles and all your other stuff, like, you know, you move your newspapers and you've got the entire works of Helen Hawthorne, just, like, these little things that... Like, it's a skill in itself. The way your brain sort of thinks about things in that way and slides things in.
Details, I love them.
Linking into this with Eddie's flashback, Trav wrote the most horrible bits about that flashback. Trav did all by himself. I didn't have to tell him how bad it was. Trav was like, "Yep, and I'm gonna leave this body, and I'm gonna feel real guilty about it for the rest of my life. I'm gonna lie about it, and I'm gonna convince myself that he got lost." I'm just like, go.
I showed last week's show to my wife, and we were watching it, and then we were kind of talking about some of the stuff on Twitter about, like, you know, how it was intense. You know, we were kind of talking about that, and my wife was like, "It was you decided to go there. It was your idea. So if anything, you put yourself at risk because you're the one who said, 'Oh, it's a swamp in Louisiana full of.'" Like, I know we do this to ourselves. Yeah, and I loved how you set it up because, well, first off, if we can talk about it, first off, the last 2 weeks of this game have reminded me of the movie adaptation, where, I think we'll just play a little role-playing game. Oh, okay, that'll be fun. And then before you know it, I've got my nose covered in alginate and we're going crazy doing stuff. And then we get to about 4 weeks in and half the party gets sick. And so we, you know, Charlie takes something that could, and this is what I told her, I messaged her, I was like, you took something that could have just as easily been, you know, a bust, and turned it into something that is essential. If I were a spectator and was really into this campaign and was ready to watch multiple 3-hour sessions of it to really bone up and keep up with what's going on, because this one is more than worth doing that. I think it's amazing how Charlie took just these took this off week and turned it into something that really shored up my character's motivation for abandonment and self-hate and for, you know, loss and grief and lying to oneself. There's all these, like, themes, and this is something that I'm looking forward to discussing with you guys. Is like there's themes that are going on through this that are important to me. I'm getting some yayas out during all this. It has to be, you know, for my opinion, a Cthulhu game. And if you want to see a Cthulhu game just that's completely gonzo bonkers, just watch what they did on Encounter Roleplay, and they did Predator and Call of Cthulhu last week, and it was just amazing because they're all in, like, Vietnam gear. And so you can go and make, like, a John McTiernan action extravaganza with this game. I'm playing it like I get to live inside Twin Peaks for 12 episodes. And for me, that means food and texture and high drama and heavy psycho just terror and torment, and the mini games really let us do that. It was creepy. I pulled that right out of my own life. That's my uncle's crawfish farm that they dumped me on for a few weeks. It was a total nightmare. There were snakes everywhere. My cousin starts with a B. Hi Bryce. I'm sorry about what happened last week. You don't watch this, so you'll never know. But and he just had a baby. Congratulations, Bryce. So he works on an oil rig, so he'll be just fine. So it was I made it something, and that's kind of why we were talking about it, like why I was talking about that last week, was like I made it something. I gave a little bit of ground. I made it something personal. I made it as close to something personal to myself as I was able to do in that moment, to my own comfort level. And we went there. And to go back to the Wild Magic Surge thing, and Adam pointed this out, there was stuff like the void in the tree, and there was some really intense, Stephen King horror stuff going on during that like half an hour later. Charlie was like, oh, well, that was a Wild Magic Surge. And I'm like, you're crazy. How did you how did you do it? But you did it so deftly and confidently, where it was glass smooth. It was like, oh, and also you turn and there's a void in the tree and your cousin's arm comes through it. So you pull it and half of his body comes out and it's talking to you, even though it's only half of him. And it was great. It was like like a book of Stephen King short stories. It was like 30 pages of intensity.
I was really happy that you picked up on the Stephen King thing, because when I was planning this mini game, I was just thinking of Stand By Me, and that's based on a short story called The Body, which is all about finding a body. And the way the mini game worked, for people who didn't see it, was I gave them, it sounded like a question, but they were given two options, whether they said yes and or no but. And the question was to do with the setting. And it was like, do you remember when you were at your uncle's farm? Or do you remember the worst day with your partner? And I had pre-warned Scrat and Travis what these two questions were, so that they knew what their response needed to be, yes and or no but. They still had control and agency, they could still shape what was going on, but that was my proposal. And then they were told that I was going to ask them about the body. And that's where I gave the players free reign to tell me what was weird about this body, what was strange, and then I went with whatever they told me. So Scrat, I believe, chose that the body was desiccated. I think that was the word. And then Travis decided that the other body was vivisected, I think.
We decided for each other, didn't we? Didn't you ask one of us yes and or no but, and you asked the other one what was wrong with the other person's body? Which was a beautiful thing to do, by the way.
And then I had, obviously, you tell me who else was there with you, and then that person told me what, and so Scrat for Travis's scene told me the character's name was Jimmy, and then Travis for Scrat's scene told me, I've already forgotten the name, I'm really bad at names.
I don't think it had a name, it was just a body that had been vivisected.
No, the detective dude that you were playing got to shape and name him. And so the important thing for me was, because there was only 3 of us, and we had to obviously fill the space, and I hadn't pre-prepped the story. I wanted to build the story together, because 3 brains are going to be better than 1. And so that's how it started. It was just like a simple question format that really, I wanted to invite them to tell me things, to give me things to work with, and then I just did my best to work with them, just let them run, because Travis and Scrat are very good at running. And I really want to play the mini game with Lucia and Helena at some point.
I think we should. I would be up for that. I'd be up for stepping out to let that happen, or playing an NPC. Either way, I would be so up for that,
Do that with it. If you guys play NPCs, that would be so cool.
We do need to bring these people a murder shack, okay? We have promised a murder shack.
Okay, first murder shack.
Then we go on to the thing.
But the thing that I was really thinking about when I built it was, how do I make this non-session a session that's going to be meaningful? I've got to improv a lot of stuff here because I haven't prepped side storylines. So yeah, I wanted to make it something that kind of counted, in that this is something that was definitely part of your background stories, but you guys had the agency. I wasn't just giving you things that are in your background story, aside from the fact you had a body. It could have gone any which direction from there. And what was always important to me was I highlighted to them that the sanity rolls and luck rolls, it was up to them if they counted. They had that power to decide, that agency, and that links in as well with our safety tools of, you always have the power in this game to say, stop, I don't like where this is going, or we're getting close to something that makes me uncomfortable as a player, or I really like this. Let's keep doing horrible things to my character in this way because it's exciting and it's something I want to explore with the O. And shout out to Kiana for putting that safety tool system together and for promoting it and for promoting so many good things for this community.
It's worth shouting out a few people. Misty Vander is one that really helped me when I was trying to come up with this. There's people that I reach out to regularly. They are Kiana, they are Misty Vander, they are Marcy Villain, who I often speak to about, look, you know, hey, we use these safety systems. And I'll talk about that in a second as well, because if you haven't been on the show, if you've been on the show, you'll know my pre-game speech about what safety systems we use and everything, and I'll go through that in a second. But if you haven't been here, you won't know, so I will go through that. But like often I'll go to them and I'll be like, do you know what? I was worried about this player. I think they didn't feel like they could use the system. How can I make it more usable? And they are always so interactive and so helpful. They're always just willing to help and try and make safety systems better. So, what I always do before every session, to bring an aspect of safety, let us go to these places without worrying too much, is we go through these certain things. And the point of these is not so that we can identify things and drive us towards things which is going to make people freak out. That's not what we want to do at all. The whole point of the safety systems is to make people feel comfortable and make them feel okay with running things. I'm not going to give any examples from this group or any other group, but if people want to put forward examples, I'll let you because it's your experience, you know? Like, part of it is trust. So I don't want to break anyone's trust by going through things, okay? That's a big part of any game. You can't tell a story with people you don't trust. You just can't. There's no way. So we have a simple traffic light system that we do before every show. It's called the flower system in some places. It's easier to think of it as a traffic light system in streaming because we don't have cards to touch. So we have X, N, and O. Our X is the content which we are about to address is going to affect my enjoyment of the game negatively. And that could be for any reason, big or small, from dramatic emotional trauma, which I'm not over, to, do you know what? If my character dies, I'm going to be really salty and it's going to ruin the rest of the game. You know, it seems petty, but if you know that and you know you're going to make the game worse, you're not going to enjoy it, that's what the X card is for, you know? So, X, N, and O. X is, this is going to negatively impact my enjoyment of the game. We need to redact. This can't happen. And no matter when that card gets played, we'll go back and take the thing that was a problem and change it. Like I said, I won't give any examples, but before now I've had sessions where the next session someone spoke to me about, hey, can I play the X card for this thing that happened last session? And my answer was yes, of course. If it's negatively affecting your enjoyment of the game, let's get rid of it, because our key goals here are safety and enjoyment. We go through lines and veils before the game as well, by the way. Lines are things that you absolutely cannot encounter, and veils are things that you would rather not go into detail for. We go through them beforehand. The system in-game is for unexpected things. So, like, I don't know. I never thought that this thing would come up in this campaign, so I didn't mention it. And, or, do you know what? I didn't realize this was a line to me because I'd never encountered it before, but this is the first time I'm encountering whatever this is, and...
So, an example could be last week we had an incident with something to do with someone's eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not have known that was something that made you actually really uncomfortable. Or for some reason, maybe someone had a bad eye thing happen to them, like that week even, and they didn't know that was going to like trigger a response within them that was going to make them physically feel ill or make them physically anxious or, you know, any of that response. And that's, you know, that's a veil of, can we maybe move on from this? It's making me uncomfortable. Or to the point where they're like, we need to stop with the eyeball talk.
Mm.
And I know before game, I usually say to people, one thing that's a hard line for me, I don't want to deal with, is animal torture. That's something that always comes up. Don't want to deal with it. Don't want to hear about it. Find another way of doing something horrible. And then a veil for me is I have a bee phobia, or a bee and wasp phobia, so that buzzing sound. And sometimes in games, if I'm really into it and I start hearing like the description of, you know, that sound, it brings that phobia to the surface. So I'm always like, I don't mind if you do it, but if I start getting uncomfortable, that's when my N is going to come up. That's when I'm like, yep, need to not move on, because it's getting to the point where I am out of the game. I'm not in the game, or I'm too far in the game where it's becoming too real for me.
And
I mean, the other thing we do with the lines and veils thing is our DMs are always open. So like you don't have to put it in the group. You don't have to say what your lines and veils are to everyone in the game. We do it separately. If you want to like say like when I'm a DM, if someone says I've got a problem, I'm like, if you want to, and I address it to the group. I'm like, if anyone wants to talk to me privately, do it, and then that way you can sort it without even feeling like that pressure of God, what if I've ruined the game for someone else?
And then you have choices from there as well. So one of the things you can do from there when people do DM you, because they don't want everyone to know, is you can say, well, look, there's 2 ways we can play this. Do you want me, because other people might do this line, for example, do you want me to tell them anonymously that in group chat that we can't do this, or would you rather me just keep an eye out and be ready to play the X card for you? You know, like that sort of thing. Just to keep that anonymity, because some people can be embarrassed, you know. If there's things that are embarrassing, and we don't want people to be embarrassed, you know.
The important thing is you never have to justify why it's upsetting to you. The important thing for a DM is to understand, you know, what it is, so that we don't do it. You know,
and
so
you don't have
Bibles,
to explain why.
You don't have to ever explain it, because you never have to tell anyone anywhere what is upsetting to you and why it's upsetting. Ever. No one is owed that explanation at any point.
Yes, exactly.
I was talking to Jim Davis on the phone on the way over here. And we were talking about one of the great things about the streaming community is unlike a lot of the games we played in before we started a YouTube channel and got involved in all of this, is that people really care about the people playing really care about these games. Jim's game, Land Between Two Rivers, those players care about their characters, they care about the game, they care about what happens. They're invested. They've got skin in the game, right? I feel that way about this, right? And I've definitely played D&D in games where it's just everybody wants to sit around and roll dice and eat chips and hang out and do stuff, and that's fabulous, right? You're at the library, you got your feet up, it's great. But part of I was telling Alice before we went live that I really love the Scraticus channel, partly because there's a point, there's a purpose to it. Not only is it inclusive, almost like wildly so, where it's like, hey, do you want to play? Let's make that happen for you. But it's also the slogan, let's evoke emotions, in my opinion. This is something I've been thinking about since early this week. It should part of what that says to me is that if you want to get invested and you want to go further and you want to play a character whose nose has fallen off and who hates himself on like an irrational level and is on a bullet train to hell, and you want to explore that and you want to do it, there are parameters here to do that, to keep you from going off an emotional cliff. And there is a shorthand between not only the players, but you and the DM to keep that from happening. For instance, my father died in February. So I DM Charlie and I'm like, I don't want to talk about my character's father. It's not part of his pain. It's not part of his backstory, really. His parents really are not the issue for him. He's got a whole bucket full of issues, but that one is not, that's not the direction I want to go. And a reckless DM could, without that instruction and without these tools, be like, and then you get a note from your father and it's awful, you know? And then I'm like, well, hold up. Now I got to rewrite your campaign because I'm like, and we're on the internet. Hi, everybody, you know? And it's weird. And it could start, the dumpster could catch fire pretty quickly. For me, I want this to be, you know, not only fun, but also like something to, I want to go a little further. I want to explore it. I want to evoke emotions. I want to do something, you know? And the tools to do that are here. And that's why I thought the events of earlier this week with kind of like the game and then like some of the conversations we were having on Twitter, and then I'll shut up. I was glad to be able to contribute to the conversation in a meaningful way, and I felt like I hopefully did, because I felt like I got to get something across that was important to me, which was I thought safety tools were stupid when Alice read them to me. It's not a thing against Alice. It's because I grew up in a conservative part of East Texas where if you tell me that I have to signal to you with the letter O that I'm about to cry, then I'm a wuss and I shouldn't be doing whatever I'm doing, and I should just go kick my own ass and get a job at the Citgo so I can fill my truck up for free. And the point is that you should be able to do something interesting, and you should take a deep breath and listen, and this is something I'm learning from the Twitter and tabletop RPG community, is to shut up and listen and to give some thought to why this stuff is there and what it allows you to do rather than what it tells you you can't do. And it's not it does not have to be a restrictive thing. It should actually be freeing and should make these games more interesting and more intense, more exciting, or whatever you want it to be. It should give you the room to go further. And that was my point.
And one thing,
I enjoyed my TED talk.
this is
I
a
loved it.
horror. This is a horror game, and we all went into that knowing this. And every week, I do my best after the game, during the week to check in with everyone, make sure they're okay. Let me know if there's something that they want to explore further. Let me know if there's something they want to back from. And this week, we were discussing how, in a way, we do have a responsibility to the audience watching, because this isn't just a private game. Whilst I'm not here to watch for X's, N's, and O's in our audience chat, we do, I think, have a responsibility running a horror game, running a game that is intense for the players, that is guided by the intensity that the players want, that you guys watching are safe as well. And we're going to be implementing a command in the bot to let you know that just with the players, if you need to step away, that's fine. If you can't watch, that's okay. We don't mind. It doesn't mean you're not supporting the channel still. If there's something that makes you uncomfortable, I'm happy for you to reach out to me and we can discuss it in DMs. I'm not necessarily going to change the game, but I will do my best to flag in that command. If I know a particular, not necessarily a trigger, but something that could be upsetting is going to come up, I will do my best to flag it so you know that's a theme this week. Because it's important that you guys stay safe watching and you're not being emotionally traumatized or upset or, you know, physically affected by the things you're watching. It is entertainment at the end of the day. It's not you not supporting us. It's not you being bad in any way. There's nothing negative about just being like, this right now isn't for me. That's okay. And I'm always happy as well to give you a summary if you're like, this week I couldn't handle it because today I'm not in a place where I can play the game. I couldn't handle it today, and you know, you can always message one of us and we'll give you a quick summary so next time you can jump back in. And we always do summaries at the start of the session too, so you can always come back and it's okay. That's something we've been discussing this week.
So something else as well is, like what Travis said, it lets you push yourself properly to limits, and it does push the audience to limits, and not necessarily just emotionally, but I was able to try something new. Before I streamed, I was basically the same character all the time, and then I mean, Scrat already knows my lines and veils, so I was lucky enough to have him as my DM for the City of Mist. But that for me was a brand new character that I have never ever approached before. And I did notice that people in chat some people were a little bit shocked by my character in that, but I was able to do it because of the safety system, not just for me, but because of the people I was playing with.
Yeah.
Because I tried a lot of new things for me in City of Mist.
It's interesting the way you say about pushing to limits as well, because what you have to remember is that's not what safety systems are for. Safety systems aren't to push things to the limits.
Yeah.
But what they do give you is they give you, well, look, here are the controls. These are the brakes. These is the go slower. This is the go faster. You know, if you want to go to the limits, push this one. If you want to rein it back and things are getting too much, put this one. It's all about having control.
The thing is,
you know?
the limit isn't the thing that the person said, this is my line. The limit is the emotional intensity that player is happy to play to. You're never playing to, so if someone, like the animal torture thing, you're never playing to how close can I get to describing animal torture. That's not what that's there for. It's how far is Charlie comfortable playing this character in a horror situation, which has nothing to do with animal torture or whatever the line or the veil is. That's not what that's there for. And it's never, if someone's afraid of spiders, how close can I get to a spider description before I'm being naughty, wicked? That's not
you don't always know your veil to there. I thought I had no veils whatsoever, and actually I discovered my veil watching another stream. Which is why we look at chat and go.
Yeah, and it's something we used to do in the past as well. Like, so before we went full time, we used to do a fair few escape room style streams where it would be like a TTRPG, very very much like Saw inspired sort of thing. So we would have like a command in chat saying, "Hey guys, there's probably going to be a lot of gore today. If you're not into that, that's fine. You know, like, just take a step back. It's yeah. We do have a question from chat.
We do.
What?
And it is a question for the cast. I think the one that I put in chat, right, Scrap? Or is there another one?
Yeah, that's exactly
Okay.
one. You please.
Is there an aspect of your character's background that you would like to discover, or something you already know of that you would like to be more fleshed out? And that is an interesting question for me as a DM. Feed me. Just while the cast think about it really quickly, because I do want to hear that answer. The other thing is, as well, is it's not just down to the DM to be watching those lines and veils. We're all here for each other. The DM is just another player at the table. They also need to be checked in with. And Scratch checked in with me before as the DM of this game to make sure that I'm okay. Because obviously I follow the intensity that these guys are bringing, and I go by these guys' lead, and yeah.
I mean, the Eberron game I run, I've had to talk. I've already said to them, because obviously you have like the decompression session sometimes afterwards, after you have like a heavy game. I've already said to one of our players, I'm like, because they said, can you push me to this limit? I'm like, that is absolutely fine. I'm more than happy to do it. I was like, I am going to need a decompression session with you after this. And not just for them, for me. Like, because I'm effectively playing, not necessarily not a nice, a very an emotional thing with someone that I care a lot about in real life as well. So it's quite close.
It's mutual care that has to happen.
Yeah.
And that maintains that trust between you, and it's always just good to communicate with each other. That's how you tell the best stories, and the stories that you're all interested in is being able to say, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm not interested in, and figuring that out as a team.
Yeah.
So,
And it's
Anna.
not permanent either. Sorry to keep going that way. But it's not permanent either. So like I noticed Potato Hollow, hey Potato Hollow in chat saying that I don't get scared or made uncomfortable by very much at all. That's fantastic. I'm very pleased for you. But like Travis mentioned, he had an event in February which all of a sudden has given him this new line or veil, you know, and things change all the time. So even if you don't need the safety systems today now, you never know when they might come in.
I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know I needed it at all.
Right.
And it is something, I mean, it's something our channel doesn't approach at all. We refuse to go in that direction, but I didn't actually think that was going to be a problem for me, but it was, and I was shocked that it was. So it's finding out as you go.
Well, like a good example for me that I didn't know I had one until after I played a one shot with you guys, and we had a great time, and I heard the rules, and I was like, okay, I won't be using that, but thank you for your consideration. And then later on, I'll just be completely honest, Adam offered me to play Monster Hearts, right? Now, I'm sure Monster Hearts is a great game. I'm sure that everyone playing it is having a wonderful time. What I understand about it is that these are sexually active monsters figuring high school out, right? Not my game, right? Not something I'm going to be playing. Grown-ass man with a 3-year-old kid, and as I gave more thought to it, I was like, my character does not have, I don't think any character I will ever play has a sexual agenda, right? Like if anything, I find it more interesting, like what I'm doing with Eddie Strebeck, which is that door is closed, right? Like by one circumstance or another, he lives in a box, and this box is missing a lot of things, and one of those things is a sexual existence, right? And so that was something that I learned from that moment. It was sort of like, oh, I didn't know I had a line or is that a line or a veil?
Could be a
That's
line.
a line.
I'd say it's a line. I would say it was. In fact, I spoke to Scrat about this. I guess it was a veil for me because I'm in the game, and I had to really sit and think. And Scrat was like, "You need to work out if you can do this game," because I didn't think I could, and my character in it has nothing to do with the sexual side.
I will say,
because I can't do it.
for mod starts, I will say there are rules for asexuality, and a lot of the queer LGBT spectrum. There are options, and it isn't just because I know like a lot of people care about this game. I am going to play this game as well myself. I've been looking into it and reading about it. So this is not to single out Monster Hearts as a game. This is just saying this is an instance, and this is by Travis.
And I mean, it's become very interesting, I think, especially with our array of lines and veils and safety systems. What we've actually got is, like, the character with no sexual agenda is relevant, because it's how does a character with no sexual agenda interact with these other characters who do have one, you know? It's very interesting. Anyway, we are getting sidetracked away from Call
I
of
wanted
Cthulhu.
to go to Anna and actually just ask the question about Helena. Is there some aspect of her background you'd like to discover, or something that you already know of that you would like to have fleshed out?
There is one that I mentioned to you, and I would like to keep that between you and me so it can play out. I liked that one. I guess I don't want to say that now, just in case it does work out to play in the storyline.
Yeah.
But as far as like something that I could say, I am really curious about what she wants with life. Like when I made this character, usually when you make a character, you put a bit of yourself into it. I think that's natural. Sometimes you can step out of that and choose something completely different. But this one, because of the setting and because of who I am and how I identify personally, I really wanted to try and like make a hybrid of myself and something that's kind of fantasy related, like a life that I could never live, obviously. In the 20s, couldn't go back in time. But I want to know what she wants to do with herself, and like, why is she writing these books? Why is she in this town on this jury randomly? What is she trying to escape? What happened in Paris? What happened when she was at home? The relationship with her father, I think, is really interesting because we haven't super explored that. We kind of touched on it. I know she had a letter from him that she kind of rejected, so I know there's something there, but I'm really curious to see what it is that she's trying so hard to hide, maybe.
I think that's the interesting thing about Helena is she is this writer and she's searching for truth. But I always have this feeling about her that as much as she's searching for truth, she's keeping secrets.
Definitely.
And I think that's the really interesting juxtaposition for me about Helena. Is she's so open as well with Eddie in that, you know, this strange, unexplainable thing that's going to make me sound, you know, mentally unstable happened to me, but she goes straight to Eddie and she's like, look, listen, I have to tell you this because A, I know you're gonna get it, and then B, I just have to tell you this thing. I can't have this secret, this thing eating away at me. And I think that's because she's got other secrets that are just weighing inside of her.
Yeah, that's how it feels. I feel like I, as a player, am waiting to figure out what her secrets are, which is really fun. Because like as we progress and go through more sanity testing events, I think it's going to bring out more of who she is on the inside. And I am the kind of person who myself, whenever anything bad happens, I immediately push it down as far as I can. Anything. So that's why I don't, it's hard for me to even choose lines and veils as a player because I don't know them. I know like obvious things like sexual abuse and animal abuse, that's pretty obvious for me, but as I go, I don't know like what bothers me, and that's really confusing as a person. So to play a character that I think has that same kind of inner turmoil, I don't know. I think it could be really interesting. That's maybe not the best word for it, but I'm kind of excited and stuff. I don't know.
Well, it reminds me of how the movie Capote framed the whole thing around In Cold Blood, where he, you know, this is a time when writing true crime, what Helena does for a living is a big deal. Like to really get to the heart of something and to expose it in a book and to be an investigative, like super, you know, to write the great American novel and be what is essentially an investigative journalist at the same time. This is the era of that. And for him, he met this person who'd murdered this family, and he didn't come out his career and his life didn't come out the other side of writing In Cold Blood the same. Like it screwed him up, and he didn't look great in front of his peers. And it was as much a victory as maybe it was a disaster, arguably. And she's kind of living this situation where she's on a good story and she's the most qualified person to break it into pieces. And it's dangerous on multiple levels. And that's the fun of watching Helena, for me, watching Helena's story at this particular moment, is she's getting so close to the mysteries that it cuts in both directions.
There's an aspect to it that I've started kind of seeing progress where it's more of a I'm going to put myself in situations that could get me killed because that's what makes me feel things. So it's kind of like a weird, harmful thing where it's like, why am I writing these books? Why am I obsessed with this dark stuff? And why am I easily just putting myself in situations that I know I could get seriously hurt in? So there's something inside.
Well, and being gay at that time is a risk that they
Oh yeah.
took, you know, like she's used to living on a certain amount of edge and has since at least the early 20s when she was in an environment where it was, I would imagine, easier to have a relationship, right? And to have that lifestyle, right? And be that person and live in your own skin. And now you're back in the States during Prohibition when it's less so, I would imagine.
During the Prohibition, that's right.
Yeah, it's the dry times.
Dry, so dry.
Everybody's looking at each other, you know, and it's not good. It's tough.
And she was also raised by her father, as we decided that her mom died when she was really young. So she kind of imitates him in a way, like even in dress and style. I kind of decided that for this character that she has a weird relationship with her father who does not accept her, who wants her to be this feminine, basically recreation of his dead wife. So she's got a lot of weird issues where she's like, I want to be the strong person. So she respects her father in that way. But at the same time, he doesn't respect her, who she is. So she it's kind of like she doesn't respect herself inside. Maybe outwardly she tries to be this person that she thinks she's supposed to be, which is the strong role model she's had. But the role model she's had doesn't even really approve of who she is as a person. So there's something there too.
Something to prove.
And Alice, the same question to you. What is something about Lucia's background that you would like to discover, or something that you already know but you would like to see more fleshed out?
I think, why is she strong? Because she's grown up in a mob sort of family, basically, but they are all men. And women still weren't viewed as strong or something. So she had to have done something or faced something that made her stand up, because she now won't take any talk from her brothers either. She'll know when to step back and let them do their thing or whatever. But I think last time we had her and one of them was fighting in the kitchen, she was the one that took over, basically. So I think I'd be really interested to see why she's strong and how she came to that point, whether it was because her mother died when she was very, very early and had to become effectively the mother of the house. And, you know, Italian mamas can be quite scary anyway, but she had a father who was not very nice, and her brothers aren't particularly nice people. They just probably respect her. But, like, I feel like, why? Is it just because they see her as family and, in that effect, probably property? Something that is theirs and something that is almost a symbol? Or did she earn respect?
Right.
Somehow? That's more sort of what I'm interested in, because she's obviously had to learn how to stand up for herself, in the scene where all of the food was ruined and she had to chuck a lot of people out, a lot of men out that would aggressively come up to her and demand things, and she's got to be able to tell them where to go. And I can't imagine, even if she had brothers like that she would necessarily adapt that personality straight away, because she's obviously learned how to be fairly charming at the same time. So there's two sides of, you know, was she actually this aggressive person first and learn how to be charming, or was she charming and then learn how to be aggressive, if you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's...
And I think the way that I'm starting to deal with that is that I told you that your dad is no longer in jail.
Yeah.
And I've tried to deliver to each of the characters a piece of news that is personally scary. That is nothing to do with Cthulhu scary, it's just personally scary.
The dad is a scary guy. So, I think, and again, I've got an idea for it, which I'll DM you because spoilers. Secrets. And I
Give
think I
me
know
information.
why. Yeah,
Sing
I've
for
got
me,
an
Mikhail.
idea.
Sing for me.
Got an idea why she's like this, but that's the sort of thing I think would be fun to discover, and I want to see her, as much as all this insanity and she is thrown at her and all these situations, and she has been quite vulnerable in some of them, like when Eddie found her after the whole situation, she found out about all this. I love those scenes, but then I love having the contrast. So I love her having those scenes, and then the scene where she's like, "Okay, let's go sort this out."
She
grabs
does
the shotgun,
good,
runs
like
and-
badass and good
Yeah.
damsel. Like,
Oh god, yeah. I think because people like that, I think would be fragile. Anyway, it's very much you have to be badass for a long time. That takes a lot of energy to remain strong, especially if you're Italian, you're female, you're in a community that does not like you. You're driving, like doing all these things that they should be like. Well, that someone like Bert is like, yeah, you're really good in the kitchen. You're really good at doing this, that, and the other. So it takes a lot of energy out of someone. So she's very much up and down. Like there's going to be a moment when she does crash, like when she found out where Eddie found her, where she found out her dad is out. And then I want her to have that contrasting scene where, I don't know, someone rubs her up the wrong way. She grabs the shotgun and just threatens them to get out. But I think she's incredibly unstable, but yeah, it's a weird way.
all right, I'm gonna run for a super quick bio, but that is gonna give you guys access to the players without the DM listening in.
Yeah.
This is your chance to get those questions that they don't want me to hear the answers to in. I'm gonna hand over to Scrat. I will be right back.
Okay,
Can I talk about mob daughters? Can I talk about mob daughters for just a second?
Talk about mob
Of course
dogs.
you can.
Because I'm over here ready to talk about Godfather 3, and no one wants to hear about that. In the Godfather 3, Connie Corleone finally rises, right? Spoilers, she murders Eli Wallach. Here's the point. Is after 2 movies of being a spoiled brat and ignored and an abused wife and just living this life that is, I think you find out eventually in her total arc that is not her truth, right? It's not who she is. She's tougher than that. She's stronger than that. Her family experience has built her up to be more than that. And the third one, she finally gets to be just as dangerous as her brothers. My memory of it, I've seen it twice. The point is, the Meadow Soprano, right? Meadow Soprano, the whole sort of lurking thing for Meadow throughout The Sopranos, particularly late in it, as she starts to find out who her father really is and his function, as she experiments with being a lawyer and all this, is that she is just as armed and prepared to perhaps step into the family business as her father, and certainly more than her idiot brother. And so it's amazing, because you think about how hard that is to keep secrets. It's hard enough to be in the mob. It's hard enough to be a woman in America, and it's hard enough to be both and keep secrets, not only from law enforcement and from the public, but also from your family and people about what you're capable of and what you're doing and how much harder this is for her. Well, it's going to harden her bark. And if I was writing this novel, Lucia would be the Dawn of upstate New York by the end of this, and her name would be feared.
Yes.
All up and down the East Coast, because she has had to be trial by fired her entire life. And then they put a hit out on her family, shoot up her brother, and when mob wars start and people start going to the mattresses like your brothers are right now, that's when the family has to tighten up and concentrate and defend itself. And she's really at this point the only person placed to do that until the father gets out. It's going to be great.
But the father is what scares her, because she put him in prison.
Secrets.
We've already said that. We've already said that. I'm allowed to say that. We've already said
You're
that.
allowed to say anything you want.
I am 100% behind Travis on this. For me, this tale is, okay, we've all got interesting stuff, but like, your arc for me is the rise of Lucia. Yes.
Yes.
It's
But
interesting
I can
to
even
play.
imagine. I can even imagine like these little scenes, like these mobsters like talking in a bar, like, but have you heard about that chick, Lucia? I mean, she's just a girl, right? Haven't you heard? Didn't you know what she did to Big Long Jimmy? Like, you know,
so
like.
she curb stomped the guy behind the restaurant.
The really interesting thing about this time period is this is the beginning of the rise of women, and this was a lot of the issues in the 1920s that people had with flappers, and with that, it was the beginning of a revolution. It was post-war, so we've just seen that women can take over men's roles very easily in society, and it's only going to get more reinforced. Women are getting the vote very soon, if not already, depending on where you are in the world. And it's a really key moment, and for Lucia, we're obviously seeing this. This is a manifestation, but again, also in Helena, we're seeing the secret work that women did behind the scenes.
I love that. Yeah.
And then with Eddie, we see the more supportive man who can respect and understand this. And then in Bert, we get that contrast. That man who is struggling to understand a world that is changing around him, and doesn't know he's struggling with it yet. I don't think. I think he's quite happy with this little status quo bubble, and I think it's going to hit home. And the way that I've been doing this campaign is different from the way I've ever approached a D&D campaign, in that I wanted to explore these characters' stories because the whole cast came together with really interesting concepts. And I'm like, I don't want to do my story. I want to do these guys' stories. So the way I'm viewing this and why we did that mini game as well is this is our one chance to do this, to explore these characters. Because we've got this season. This is our chance. We don't have to do every session we build on the storyline session. It's every session we go and explore something. And that's why I don't mind when the cast want to do split scenes. Because I'm not there to railroad them down one path. So if Bert wants to go and spend a day in the city while everyone else is investigating Murder Cabin, Bert can do that. I might not make it easier because I think it's going to be more fun if he goes to Murder Cabin. But
I have to admit it has been one really good fun, but interesting to try and play Lucia because I don't normally play this sort of character. And I was talking to Scrat, and I was like, I want to play something completely different. I'm normally playing the happy, clappy, whatever halfling that's like, ooh, adventure. And I was like, no, I want to do something completely different. So, and that's another thing I like. I like being able to step out of, I guess, my comfort zone and try and do something different because I think it's so opposite of who I am in real life. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting concept to play, especially with the Italian side of it as well, because that adds another element in America at that time. So
and you were kind of, I remember when we first started playing, you were like, I'm not sure about the Italian accent, I'm not sure what she sounds like, and then you started doing it, and I'm like, no, not only are you killing it, but you're doing like something that sounds like she spent a lot of time in the old country. It's not this, hey yo, what are you?
Yeah, it's not New York Italian, it's
right
Italian. It's
not a cliche. And she's not a cliche. And it makes for something really special. There was a moment towards the end of show 4 when we're all getting in the truck, and Bert goes, well, now remember, you're going to want to put it in neutral, and then you interrupted him and said, I just put the hammer down. I throw it in gear. Put it on the floor. And that's been my favorite moment of all 4 shows, because it really it crystallizes the her and really the whole group, but particularly the 2 of them, where it's like, now. And the show 4 had a lot of those moments where, like, now I know you're just a shut up.
I think what was really interesting is leading up to that moment, they had a scene in the cafe, and it was like
by the door.
Bert was like seconds away from asking her on a date. I swear that was how that was going. And I was like, yes, do it, ask her. I dare you.
I can look after you. Is where he was going. You know?
She's just
If you ever need me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you could. I mean, you don't know that could be where it'd end up, but there's no way it would be in the sense of I could look after you. So I'll look after you. It'll be more that.
And interestingly, even in the history of the mob, I don't know if Travis covered this, but a lot of the big mobsters fell down because the women in their lives turned on them. And the women in the mob, the moles, were pretty terrifying, and there are some very interesting ones that you can go and read up on.
Oh yeah.
And they're not just femme fatales, some of them are just flat out fatales. So okay,
Yes.
so I think since we're going round, I want to.
One quick thing, because we all got really engrossed and missed it. We do owe Potato Hollow a big thank you for his 6-month resub. Thank you so much. He has gifted Lucia a nat 20.
I'll be using that.
She'll need that.
I'm gonna need it, I think.
Will she need it? Will she? Sorry, Charlie, back in your hands.
Yes, I just want to continue moving around the table because I think it's really interesting. Sorry, I'm playing with a makeup brush. And go to Bert, who we've spoken about a lot of times, and ask what is something that you'd like to discover in your character's background, or something that you already know but you want fleshed out.
Okay, so far with Bert, we've seen that he's a bit of a misogynist. Okay. We've seen that he had problems with his wife and daughter that he never really understood. And similarly, because of that, he maybe resents Helena a little bit. And what I'm really looking forward to in Bert's arc, and I'm not predetermining it because I don't know what's going to happen. It's, you know, it's a story we tell as we go. But I'm really looking forward to Bert having to interact with Helena, because it's going to be having to be for him to acknowledge, you know? Sorry, Anna. I've made it difficult for our characters to interact. But
No,
like,
I exactly what I want to.
yeah, like, but when they start interacting, I'm interested in whether he can comprehend the fact that, you know, women could be lesbian and that is a valid life choice. Whether he can, you know, maybe put aside some of this misogyny, which he'll either get from Helena or Lucia, that actually, hang on a minute, they don't need us. Although, having crashed the car into a lake, you've gone down in his estimations in that respect. Like, you know, I'm really interested in seeing where he goes. I know a lot about his past. What I'm interested in is how he develops these problems. And if he realizes that he's not a big player, he's just a schmuck surrounded by big player women and Eddie, you know, like, because he thinks he's a big player, you know, he's a private investigator, he's from the big city, you know, he's got to be great. He doesn't have any problems at all, no problems, you know, like none. And whether he can break that funk,
that totally manifests as well in the fact that he is single-handedly investigating where Victoria's gone, and he hasn't reached out to any of his family. He doesn't really know her friends, so he has no one to reach out to there. He reached out to one contact, and that was to investigate the fiance. He didn't even tell that contact, my daughter's missing.
Mm-hmm.
It was, can you check out the fiance? And it's mind-boggling in some ways. But at the same time, for me, he's this person who feels like he can do everything on his own and therefore will.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting to see him work in a partner dynamic last week in the Terrible Memoriam. And it was interesting that at the end of that Terrible Memoriam, it was decided that Elam, I remembered what his name was, died and was gone. And through that, I gave Scrat that if he goes to the grave, this is a place where he can get some restoration. Because to me, Bert is a person who is missing a half. He is someone that is actually probably quite codependent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's missing that person to be codependent on, that person to round him out. And so going to see his partner is someone masculine, someone that he worked well with, and that's his other part. Because I don't think he's ever going to reach out to his wife. She's gone. Julie's gone.
Yeah, Julie's gone.
Never going to be there. And I don't know if he's ever... It would be interesting to me if he ever reaches out to Helena or Lucia in a moment of crisis, but because they are people who have skills that can maybe help him. And what's interesting to me is that he got a message about Miller's Cafe, and he was warned not to go there. And I made a big point of it. It was partially because of a donation, but partially because I was really interested to see him in a position where he had information that could be very, very important, and whether he was going to use it, whether he was going to keep it, whether he was going to ignore it. So yeah, I'm very interested. I think Bert is one of these characters where the past we know is terrible. It's not great. It's all slowly been falling apart, and it's whether he's going to let himself continue on this spiral and really come apart, or whether he's going to find a way to build back out of that.
And what a perfect system to do it in as well. Call of Cthulhu, where literally you lose your sanity with every passing hour. That's exactly what I want to know. You've summed it up in a nutshell. I want to know if his arcs upwards or arcs downwards. You know, like
Death spirals.
That's where I'm interested in him, and if he can get out of his own head long enough to realize that he's not the main character. You know, because he thinks he is.
Everyone thinks they're the main character in their own lives.
Oh yeah, I know, but like.
Even in the meta, in the back of your head, he's like, yeah, this is a story about that.
Yeah, but it's incorrect. Even in the meta in the back of my head, he incorrectly thinks that this is a story about Bert. This is a story about people working together, and he's actively almost working against that like an idiot, you know?
What was interesting to me was that Bert was constantly trying to run in the opposite direction, and Adam's messaging me like, I really want to meet up with the group.
Yeah.
I'm like, so...
Well, dude, I'm like, I can't. I can't.
I'm just gonna have another drink and pass out on my lawn.
Yeah.
It's the story of countless, settled down white men through the American century. That's why, like, when you said he made some money, I was like, of course he did. Like, he's not worried about money. He's got a car that has got a nice car. He's got a gig. He's got a certain amount of respect. This is when dudes put their feet up. This is when dudes autopilot until they drink themselves to death. And it's just one of the things that makes this campaign very relevant is that these women are rising and these men are crumbling, and they can't just rest with the accomplishments that were not so horribly difficult to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't just put their feet up and boss and just be like, all right, so what are we doing today? It gets wildly hardcore hard very quickly, and I don't think either of our characters are prepared for it.
The interesting thing for me is that the two worst sanity trips both of the girls have gone on, or both of the women have gone on, and the boys haven't. The girls went down to the cellar with the gallows, which was the first horrific thing, in part wild magic, in part somewhere I wanted to send you guys at some point. And then we had the French Revolution scene, and it was the most badass moment. Alice spent several nat 20s, and so did Anna as Helena, to survive this angry mob, to get to the front to try and stop what was going on, and then in the end have to put two women mercifully down because they were suffering, and they didn't have the power to stop the scene, but they had the power to stop the suffering. And it was still done they were at serious risk. There was a huge angry mob there, and I was quite happy to keep rolling damage against them, because that's a scary place. And yes, it was it another place? Was it reality? Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's Cthulhu.
And sometimes the dice really get in and tell the story as well, because the thing I remember from that is they saw all this horrific stuff, and the sanity dice were like, no, these are strong women. They only lose one sanity.
I rolled a D8. I was ready to come for your sanity. I was there to give you these temporary insanities and to really affect you, and the dice were like, no, one.
Yeah.
And I was like, fine.
Yeah. Remember, there's always that extra storyteller at table. There's the DM, there's the players, the extra storyteller, the dice, always.
That scene as well, though, because we failed trying to stop it, it was taking that next decision to put them out of their misery, which is something you don't necessarily think of in that. So you go, no, I'll save them, I'll help them, I'll do whatever I can. But we actually couldn't.
And it's the situation where you're failing at something, and it's a case of, okay, now I have to save my own neck, because whoa, just look what the mob just did to those two. I've been causing a fuss, but Lucia stood her ground. She found a clearing in that crowd, and she fired those two shots out. And that's something, okay, we used nat 20 to make it happen. Doesn't matter. We made the story decision that she was strong enough to stand there and do that thing, and that's really cool. And it's one of my favorite moments in the campaign, because I had no idea that Alice was going to turn around and take that chance, and that Helena was going to be there backing Lucia up. I thought Helena, knowing the city, was going to use that to her advantage to get Lucia the hell out of there. But they both just stood their ground, and then obviously the truck went careening into the water, and we came back to 1927. with the two guys dragging these women, these
Yeah, that
trans
doesn't
women
help
out
our
of the van.
That doesn't help our image right now. We're gonna have to.
Didn't I like fail? I failed a check or something when we were trying to get away or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And that's why I wasn't able to like
You froze.
else.
You were like petrified or something because it was Lucia
Yeah.
who had to go nope. and drag
That's
it
like,
through.
you know, I was saying that I just want to like glorify people a little bit as well. That's the other thing as well. I want to Anna. Anna is like the person who has just like hurt me, throw bad things at me. You know, like literally, Anna is the icon of look. Is this horrific enough? Can you hurt me more? That is Anna. You know, like,
child.
like yeah.
And before we came on air, Anna was like, "I want more wild magic surges. How do we make this happen?"
Yeah, no, Charlie was remembering. She was like, oh well, I think there was a bad thing for Bert and maybe a bad thing for Lucia. And she's like, can I have a bad thing? I want one.
Yeah.
Like, like, you know, like,
And I think it's amazing to me that all of the players at this table are there for those things because that's what makes the story interesting. And I hope it's because they never feel punished by these things. Okay, their characters might be punished,
Right.
but as players, I never want the players to feel punished because they want to go to interesting things. Because I played a zombie outbreak game on Greg's channel last week, and we had a set plan, the whole team of us, because we were playing ourselves, and we had a set plan of this is what we're going to do to survive. And then there was like an interesting plot hook thrown at us on the side of the road, and we were all in pro chat like, well, if we don't take it, we're not going to do anything interesting all game because we're so focused on surviving. So we were like, all right, we stop and we go for the chainsaw. And that snowballed things. But that's why we play these games, because we get to do stupid things sometimes that we know are going to be bad, but they're going to be so much fun.
And it'll stop you from doing it in real life.
Yeah.
yes, and like, you know what? Like, do you remember? I was one of them people that when I used to watch horror movies, I was always sitting there going, well, why? Why would they walk to the murder cabin in the woods? You know, listen to the music. Are you all stupid? Have you never watched a movie? But then as soon as you start playing one of these games, you're like, oh, a murder cabin in the woods! Come on, everyone! Let's go!
The only thing I've done to facilitate these guys going to that murder cabin is I didn't include the jury instruction that says do not visit any of the scenes of the crime. I exceeded nothing about them going to this cabin. That was all Helena and Eddie.
We're literally like the darker version of Scooby-Doo right now.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
had
yeah.
a feeling
Oh, yeah.
that the cabin would be irresistible, but I never once seeded them going there. That was all them.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
We're literally doing a Scooby-Doo thing,
We
right?
need a dog.
Yeah.
So I had a
Yeah,
I
sorry.
had a question from, I think it was Arcanist in chat, who asked me, what is my main inspiration for the overarching story? Without spoilers. I have a lot of sources of inspiration. As a student, as a postgrad student, I actually researched the representation of gender in association with crime. So I have a lot of interest in this period in particular, and crime and punishment and audience and representation of people who have committed crimes and things like that. So that's where I kind of started building this, and further inspiration for the overarching storylines still comes from that, but it's also just been building from the players. I have some plot points, but my overarching story has been building from what the players have been telling me about their characters. Because my overarching plot is these are 4 people in a situation. This is the story of that. This is how this goes. So yeah, I have quite a lot of overarching story points. I would recommend checking out Double Indemnity, which is a really great story by James M. Cain, adapted into movies a couple of times, which is about a femme fatale and is about an insurance murder, basically. She murders her husband because she can get double the money if they can get away with the crime. And it's a very tangled web that goes on. And that was based on a crime that was actually committed in 1927 in New York. And I was like, well, what if I'm running a jury adjacent to this? And I've been on a jury, not for a murder trial, thankfully. Just someone got drunk and attacked someone else at a pub. But so that was
UK.
okay. So that was like another point to that experience for me, and being on a jury with these strangers. And I'm always fascinated by that problem that D-hands have of how do I bring a party of strangers together and force them to be together without it being, you will be friends.
Love each other.
And it's one of those strange situations where you're put in an alien space, kind of a non-space because you're waiting around a lot, with 12 people you don't know, and you're forced to deal with that, but also it's 12 people from an area. So you may have passed them in the street before, you may know them as the doctor at the hospital, or, you know, the girl who runs the cafe. So these are people who are kind of orbiting you that you don't necessarily know. So that's kind of where the inspiration comes from. There is an endpoint, there is some end inspiration. Whether we get there by a direct route, who knows?
Talking of like inspiration and stuff as well, one of the things that I love seeing when I'm privy to it, and it's not often because obviously it's between you two, but I love seeing when Travis messages you, like that Twitter thing I saw the other day where he's like, he's got a mole on his shoulder, could be serious, might be worth checking out. Like,
I live for those moments. I just wait for them all week.
It's never a bad thing when your players message you outside of the game going, I've got a really terrible idea. Yes, get me.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of those.
The one bit of advice I would say if you're designing a game like this and you want to design is don't have an endpoint that's and then X, Y, and Z die or whatever. Have a question that you want to answer. How do people in this situation respond to X? I don't want to give my question away because I based this game around a question. But have a question because then you're not locked into anything. You're just exploring something.
Yeah.
And there is an endpoint to a question, which is your answer. But how you get there is completely open, and you always have a lot of inspiration and sources that you can reach from in the form of your players and their characters.
Yeah.
I that is so true because for the Eden game, I effectively had a design and a question. It's more that they are experiencing the world. So you're putting them into this world, go. There's no whatever. And I think that works really, really well with the Call of Cthulhu and how you're doing it as well, Charlie, because I think we're all so different and I think we just run away with things anyway. So
yeah, I'm very lucky that none of you are cautious in terms of chasing story ideas. So that's been very lucky. But again, I'm not sure I would describe this as a sandbox game because you actually don't have a whole world open to you.
No.
At the same time, you can go wherever the hell you want. Because the point is the arching plot is a question, and I'm going to keep you driving towards my answer on that question. But where you are in the world doesn't matter to that. So that's why I'm not categorizing this as a sandbox. Because a sandbox to me is you can go anywhere, you can explore anything you want. The plot builds itself around that. But I have a very specific question that I am very interested to get an answer for. So yeah, it's open, but it's not. There's a theme. There's something I want to know by the end of this. And I hope I do know. So I think, Eddie, you're the only one we haven't asked. Is there something in your background that you would like to know or that you would like to further explore?
I'm very glad to be asked this question, and I will try not to talk forever. As soon as we had the session 0 and I heard what sort of Anna was doing and locked in on what I wanted to do, I had never met Anna before this, and she has been extremely patient and lovely about this whole thing because my character. Okay, so you get married in your mid-20s, right? You get married too early. Then you get a chance to use your degree and go to Europe and talk about marble sculpture. So you go. And you're eating baguettes, you're having coffee, you're arm wrestling Ernest Hemingway, you're getting paid, everything's going great. You meet this incredible person, you have a completely platonic relationship with this person, you're having lunch, you're discussing art and poetry and prose, and you're having a marvelous time, and you don't go home for 3 years. And then your wife tells you, I'm leaving you. So then you abandon that and move back home to nothing. She's gone, right? And so was your life back in Paris. So then you get sick and your nose falls off. And the circumstances around that are, mysterious even to yourself, right? So then this person who it's not an obsession, it's a respect. It's not a Helena's presence elevated him. It made him better, right? It was not a normal relationship in that it was an intellectual relationship. It was a passionately intelligent relationship. And then it ended, and he's going to forever feel like crap about basically abandoning 2 relationships, and as we learned last week, 3. And then he starts to get sick. So then he meets her again later and knows, and so he hates himself on a level that he's not. So, and this is the point I'm trying to make is I really want to explore self-loathing with this character. It's a topic I'm quite serious, quite interested in. To hate yourself on an irrational level bleeds into your relationships, and you know it. So it's like a Fellini film. You're watching yourself do something horrible. You're watching yourself over there destroy your relationships. You're watching yourself take someone who you respected and cared about, and not only are you aware of your threat to that person because you're nuts, but you're watching it happen, and you can't really stop it because you don't have anything in place to protect other people from you because you're crazy. And that's a thing with, so like, for instance, when we discover that he has a complete collection of her books, right? That's one of my favorite moments of this so far, because it is at once, you're kind of like, oh, he's got all her books. And at the other time, at the same moment, it's, wait, he's got all her books? Like that's not normal. Like, why? Like, he doesn't read that. Like, why would he just like, oh, I've got 20 years of newspapers and the complete life's work of this person that I knew for 3 years. That's not obsession. It's like, it should be at once weird. And so he sees himself as the parasite. And this is what is truly toxic about self-loathing, is that you're poisoned from the inside, and you see yourself as the parasite, and you become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see your destination as unavoidable. You see it as a train that you cannot stop, that's only end is the destruction of your relationships and ultimately yourself. And he feels that he is on this path. And the real pain of it is that he's known forever. She has a bright career. She has a bright future. He's surrounded by, he obviously respects Lucia and probably is scared of her because he knows exactly what she's, so she's going to do what she's going to do.
Because he's a smart man.
Yeah. But he's smart enough to know better.
What's so perfect about this is in the 1920s, it was a period of nihilism. There was the sense in the noir movement in those Gumshoe Chronicles where it was a male protagonist, and they knew at the end of the story they were going to be dead. They knew that at the end of the story it was unavoidable that this catastrophe was going to happen. They were on a train to hell. They knew this, and that's something that comes up often. Is they're on this sidecar that's continuously snowballing, and that's what's so perfect about Eddie. Is that he so perfectly fits that, and then simultaneously he goes against it in terms of he hasn't got the misogyny aspect to his character. And so you're kind of like, actually, I kind of respect that about him, that he's willing to listen to Helena, to respect Lucia as people. Not because they're women, not because they're men, but because they're people, and they're people who have achieved things, and they're in tough positions, and they do good things. And then obviously when the weakness shows, he's not there to go, I told you couldn't drive. He's there to go, how do we fix the car?
Yeah. And he knows enough in the locker rooms of the world, and we've talked about this in the toxic male society that I think is really just in these last year or two really being discussed and examined. But I can tell you in my experience that if you start really respecting and speaking up for women in your sophomore year, you're going to get run over by toxic males who call you, it's seen as a sign of weakness amongst men, and no one wants to talk. I have not seen this discussed, that it's not like this has never happened. It's that the men who were like, no, she's, who demonstrate to leave her alone, stop, it's in Hollywood, it's always shown as, hey, stop pushing her, hey, leave her alone, hey, don't do that, and it's seen as a physical conversation between two people. It's not always like that. It's also like, well, actually, she's really, this and that smart, and whatever, you speak up for somebody, and the toxic circle that you're in looks at you as weaker for that. And I think somewhere in his self-hate, that's hiding in there somewhere, but he ignores it because he has seen the truth that I think we are all realizing, which is that we are all people and that we all need one another. And these lines are false and man-made and social constructs that are being annihilated, whether we like it or not. We talk about the bullet train. It's not up to you, That's the 2018 conversation. It's not up to any one person. The wind is blowing, and you can either walk with it or against it. And it's one of my favorite things about me and Eddie and Bert's characters is it's the white hat, black hat thing. But on the surface, if you were to look at a picture of these two guys, that's the good guy, that's the bad guy. But it's not like that. It's actually blended in a way that makes this campaign, and I've said it before, Charlie, I just think it's really nuanced and really something very complex and
relevant, very relevant.
And very relevant.
I think the interesting thing is it's always at its heart going to be a cooler Cthulhu game, and that never ends well. And I think we are all on this crazy train together, and we are all willing to go to these dark and terrible places, whether that's the horror of Cthulhu or the horror of just human existence.
I mean, speak for yourself. You just gave me a free pass to go to the city while they do the murder shack, so I'm...
I enjoy that you think that's a better option.
I know, I'm 100% joking. 100%. But, yeah.
And I think we all know those resources, the sanity, the luck is going to dry up. It's going to come down to dice one day, whether you live or die.
Mm-hmm.
It's also going to come down to your team and whether they've banked luck to save you, whether they know enough to get you out of the terrible situation you're in, whether that wild magic surge comes in and it is something good or whether it is something bad. And there's going to be an explosion. Travis and I were discussing this. Travis has dreams about how this game ends. And I said to him, any which way, I'm hoping there's going to be an explosion. What that explosion is, what form that explosion takes, I don't know, but I can only see this game ending in a dramatic ball of some sort of fire, whether that's metaphysical
or like what, my distillery,
or your actual distillery takes out the entire town.
I am so ready to be hammering that O key, which is our safety tool for please keep hurting me. I like it. I'm gonna be I'm looking forward to hammering at that one point when Bert inevitably has the emotional breakdown that's been building up for the last 20 or 30 years.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be beautiful, and Helena, you're gonna be crucial to it. I know it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be playing a part in that.
Yeah.
And you can tell she can't wait.
A little bit of us, a little bit of them. So I think we will take some last questions if chat has any, because we are approaching 9 o'clock, which is our normal stopping time. I am super grateful that everyone has been here to do this today. I've actually really enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that we've just gotten to sit and talk for a couple of hours about this game and about what we like about it and games in general and that stuff, because I love having those conversations, especially with talented and diverse people like we find here. So, yes, any last questions, put them in chat, whether it's for me, whether it's for the cast, whether it's for the characters, short questions, long questions, we're here for that.
We do have something exciting to show you at the end of the stream as well.
We do.
So stick around for the end, because we have exciting new things.
I'm really excited about it, because I haven't, I'm very excited.
Don't get too excited. I mean, it's pretty cool, but I cut it. It's fun. I know that one day I might have as much fun playing one of these games, but I don't believe that I will ever have more than what we're doing. I think this is a very, very special group of people and a very, very particular chemical reaction of, like, I've been wanting to do what we're doing right now for about 10 years. Not this character and just sort of this impulse has been cooking for a long time, but not in like a role-playing game context. And then I'm on a 3-year Lovecraft kick that's just not showing any signs of stopping. I'm just doing a lot of reading and having a lot of fun. And with psychological horror, because I don't like slasher movies, I don't care about the shape walking through Laurie Strode's house, chopping people up with a butcher knife. I like John Carpenter movies, but I don't go crazy for Freddy and Jason and all this. You've got to get, it's so much scarier when you're up in somebody's head, and it's more nuanced, and there's food and color.
Travis, have you watched a movie called Tale of Two Sisters? It's a Japanese movie.
The Japanese version, not the American version.
No, I haven't.
I think you would enjoy that.
I only.
That's all I'm gonna say about it. I think you would enjoy that.
As Scrat knows, I like the psychological side of things and psychological thrillers and horrors. I try and put it in all of my games, even if it is a happy setting.
While we're on this topic as well, I really want to shout out Alice, who is an incredible horror DM. If you ever get a chance to play a one-shot with Alice, get in on a horror game with Alice. She'll mess with you. And I have a feeling that Anna would also be a ridiculously good horror DM.
Anna. Now,
I'm practicing.
I don't want to call you out live, but when are you going to come and DM for me? Like,
I really hope to soon, and I'm practicing. I promise.
Chat are reminding me that I have a lot of nat 20s. I know, chat. I just never need them. They roll so badly.
Yeah, this is.
We'll let Anna take this one, okay? You know, and Anna's the expert on hurt me, please.
Please.
Nay on the entway.
I do love the horror side of things, and in fact, the Eden game on Wednesday, a couple of people have said to me, they went, "Is this turning into a psychological horror thriller?" And I was like, well, I didn't intend it to be, but like after last week, so
Now
many,
that you mention it,
the reaction after last week was, I didn't expect it, but I got a lot of positive, but at the same time, oh my god,
distraught, positive distraughtness.
I was sent like selfies of people lying on their floor trying to recover from some of the players. So
on the kind of subject of rolling, I did give the players some skill points to spend, so don't forget to spend those if you haven't already, team.
mm-hmm.
It was 25 points, Anna.
Okay, thank you.
I have done that, and I know where that's going.
I've done that. Yeah, I've totally done that.
I did it.
Yeah,
I did it.
75 is still the maximum, right? Asking for a friend.
And the way I am trying to reward the players is to give them occasionally extra random skill points. So if we have a particularly demanding wild magic surge, they get extra things. If I think a story point has been real cool, they're going to get extra things. Such as Travis got a restoring wild magic potion, which did come from wild magic surge. But also I upped how many points I was going to let that restore, because I felt like Travis really put his character in danger in a very horrible way, and an ongoing way with his relationship with his cousin. And I wanted him to have a couple of points of sanity left to go into the cabin with, so that I had something to take away.
Wait, so did I recover sanity?
Yeah, you recovered 4 points of sanity.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yes, you did.
I'm at 59. Look out. I'm doing
Look
fine.
out. You are. I need to harvest.
It's bad.
Sanity point harvest will happen. But yeah, I never go into the game wanting to mechanically mess up the characters, but if I can narratively mess up the characters,
It's the best way.
so excited.
Just yeah. I've discovered from DMing that's one of my favorite things. That sounds really sadistic, and I mean it in the nicest way. But
This is what I
like
said.
creating
I
that.
was doing my makeup on a stream earlier, and I said, I think I started by saying I look forward to messing with the characters, but it's not that. It's I look forward to my players being excited about me messing with the characters. It's always definitely my enjoyment comes from you guys having fun about it, not me being.
That's awesome. Like seeing your players
Because
enjoy
I 100% believe the DM is on the team with the players. I will suggest solutions to my players because I want them to succeed, but doesn't mean I'm not also going to go in there and be like, you're going to roll a sanity because you've just seen something utterly horrific.
Like sometimes I wish like I could share some of the Zoom chats I've had with players, like obviously that chat can't see, and Scrat will know some of them, the one I'm talking about. And I actually end up having to keep up on a Zoom chat and Twitch chat because I love it when players start going, oh my god, is it this? Or throwing theories and stuff like that. I mean, we do it afterwards in like Twitter.
That is the funniest thing about your campaign, because obviously I'm running production, so I can see all the chats and everything in the background. It's seeing all of your players, like, doing things like throwing you messages like, oh my god, this person's a cyborg! They've been a cyborg the whole time! Like, what? Where?
Bear in mind the person they're accusing is one of the players, and he's like, I'm really not. But they're now at that level of, I trust nothing.
But, like, then their obvious, like, logical next step is, do they poo? You know, like...
It's like Anna at the end of one of the sessions sent me a message in the Zoom chat, and then before we signed off, she was like, "Did you read the message?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, I got you. I see the horrific thing." But yeah, it's so exciting to me when I see the little Zoom box light up in yellow, and I'm like, "There's something there for me."
Yeah, I love it.
And as much as I love sharing things with chat, sometimes it is nice to have those little secrets between all of us and those big moments when they come out and it's like, how long has that been going on?
Oh, you guys, if we ever have like a down week or something where we could do this, I bought, it's like a Call of Cthulhu, but it's it's set in Egypt. Same era, whatever, so I'm like...
That's like my favorite.
Try and DM it sometimes, so I don't know what I'll do with that, but I would really like to do something with that, so just putting that out.
Carnarvon.
Anna, I'm going to slide up into your DMs immediately after the show.
Okay.
Guys, put me on that invite list or I will come for you.
Please. That's literally like that's my favorite. One of my favorites.
Every time.
For real though, if the four of you want to just be in the game and I DM it for like the four of you, you could be the same characters, different characters, whatever. It's just like, it's really cool.
I just love the Mummy, the film. So if I can have that, but like...
Oh yeah, there's like a tomb and something that I have to read it all over, but I don't have all the details in my head yet, but it's very cool.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Adam, please do that voice where he's like...
Oh, you mean one of my noble old man voices? I can do them for you.
I rewatched Travis the time I DM'd for you and you first experienced Scrat's voice of that, and how you could not cope the entire way through. Just couldn't deal with it. It was the best.
I wasn't prepared for it. It was like way too funny.
Since she's just popped in chat, I want to shout out Lindy.
Yes.
Lindy.
Because Lindy actually is my Call of Cthulhu idol.
She's so
if it were
good.
not for Lindy, I would not ever be playing this game. I would be terrified of even thinking about DMing it. Before we started playing the game, I'd never played Call of Cthulhu. Oops. I'm still learning the rules as we go, but Lindy has majorly helped me out. She's been like, go for it. I spoke to Greg really briefly about it as well, so shout out to him again. Greg is an amazing DM. But yeah, Lindy on Encounter Roleplay plays the most amazing, diverse characters. She's also an incredible DM. She does Vampire Masquerade this season, as well as DMing in other places.
And cosplays as well.
I live for these cosplays.
I honestly, if you are not following Lindy, not aware of Lindy, go check her out. She's an incredible person. An incredible player and DM.
I heard recently that she's running free campaigns over on her show now. Things are ramping up over there. Getting early.
To play Ravenloft with Lindy, and I'm ecstatic about it. I've been playing one-shots with Lindy for 3 weeks and have met all of her wild repertory company of friends.
It's very funny. I was having a conversation with Lindy about this recently. You're in for a ride, sir. You are in for a ride.
She's the mad scientist of tabletop streaming.
Yeah, she is.
And I love it.
A lot of the way I formed as a DM is thanks to Lindy and the way that she forms and our crazy. I think our DM crazies match. You know, I love it. I love it. Anyway,
it should also be noted that she's also a brilliant writer and doing RPG and
so good.
Basically, everything she touches, she's amazing. If you're not following,
love you, Lindy.
Yeah, we love you.
I love
This
you.
message has been brought to you by the Lindy Committee
Sorry, Lindy, did you want to just come in here and relax? Did you want to do that, or did you want to get praised like, constantly? Because that's what where we've taken this. Sorry.
Sorry, Lindy. Love you, Lindy. But yeah, I just wanted to shout her out because she was also the first person who agreed to come on Roll Up with me and to talk about Call of Cthulhu and to sit and make characters. And we'd never really spoken before that. She'd always like been my little idol. And she was the coolest person, and she's so great at explaining systems and getting to the core of what's important about a game. And it's not mechanics, with this game, it's just about stealing that sanity slowly and surely, and the seeping dread. And just, yes, major props.
Just one more thing about Lindy.
Yeah. What?
You know,
this is the place for it. Do it.
I've only had a chance to play with her twice, and I've adored both times. And one of my favorite ones was when we did Scrat. It was your one shot, which was basically based in the whole style of the film Snatch.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I built that whole world, and I haven't used it yet.
We all rolled bards, and it was just all the characters in that were so good. I loved interacting with Lindy in that, and Patu is my idol.
Opening scene.
Tell Grant that Patu is my idol.
Opening scene. How are you going to pay the rent? Ending scene. They've made porn videos. They've knocked off mobsters. They it went. No, they went there. They went there. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was.
And finally, while we're shouting things out, we've talked a lot about a lot of things. I want to shout out chat who turn up every week to various shows, this show, other shows. You guys make these streams happen. And whether that's an interactive stream or it's a stream that you just sit back and you chill and you lurk, your presence means so much to everyone, and your support and your engagement. And I love hearing your theories and your favorite bits, because then I can kind of fangirl out over Lucia and Helena and Eddie and Bert and all of the other games as well. So yes, super props to you, and props to you if you just engage by retweeting, by lurking, or if you do the wild magic surges to bad things, etc.
You are so appreciated.
So much love. I wish I could list all of the names, but there's so many, and I'm bad at names, and I don't want to forget anyone.
Yeah, that's always the problem, isn't it? You always
my core, love you so much, and I will torture you at some point in a game. By torture, I mean have a great time playing.
And shout out to Sheena as well, who is probably my hardest working mod. Like, she's always in chat and always on it. No regrets. No regrets about making Sheena a mod. She's amazing. Sheena, little shout out for you there too. You get one too. Giving us compliments, you're going to get one too. It is coming up to about that time when we usually wrap up. So if we want, we can go through, we can do our go round and wrap up thing. And then once we've all done that and we've done all our plugs and everything, we can reveal our big reveal thing for next week's episode, and then we'll raid straight after that. So it'll be like our dropping the mic.
And don't forget to come back here later for Eberron.
Yeah, Eberron.
I know we're going to plug it later anyway, but I just want to plug it right now. Don't forget to come back here later for Eberron.
Okay, so we went round that way last time, so this time let's go around that way, but I'll leave me last. Alice.
Oh,
Speak
okay.
now.
I'm White Rabbit Pick on Twitter. I'm also a well-to-do hobbit in chat, which is something I think I need to change because so many people don't know who I am.
Really?
I think Travis has just
That's
realized.
you?
So I need to chase it up. That's my old thing. No one knows. But yeah, I am DM on this channel for Argo 37 using the awesome Dark Matter material, and Eden, which is my I guess now psychological horror thriller as of last week, and Eberron, which is on later today, where I've been voted to have the scariest mum voice, which has now become a hashtag apparently. And when I'm not doing all the D&D and TTRPG stuff, I am a photographer, lifestyle, wedding, you name it. So yeah,
very worth checking out her links. She's an amazing photographer. She's flying out to America later this year, next year.
At some point.
For a photo shoot out there. It turns out, actually, depending on what time of year it is, that can be quite affordable. So don't feel like just because you're over in America and we're in England, you can't do it.
I will come to you. Like,
Yeah.
That's that DM voice.
I will come and you will like it. Next around the table, we have the wonderful Travis Bowles.
Oh, stop it. Hi, everybody. I'm Travis Bowles. I am the producer for WebDM. I cut the show early this week, so it's going to come out on time.
What is
So,
this?
Unlike the last 4 weeks. So, and it's on, what is it on? Oh, Unusual Settlements. And the thumbnail is a Pip. You will enjoy it. They're in a blanket fort and they're in PJs. So I just want to say that Alice is an extremely talented photographer, and as a videographer since I was 16, I have lots of respect and no small amount of envy for photographers because it is very difficult, and I have enjoyed checking out Alice's photography. And wedding photography in particular is a very difficult and potentially lucrative gig. So thank you so much for having me today, and also a big round of applause for Charlie, who is awesome. I'm glad we got to do this today. I got to talk about a few things relevant to what we're doing here on this show that I really wanted to put out into the world. So I'm glad I got to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next around the table, the picture portrait of the 1920s, Anna. Oh, hi.
Hello. I don't really know if I have anything to plug. Oh, I do have the game that I tried to plug last time. And it's on Oh Baby 190. I always forget the numbers. So sorry, Rachel. In your Twitch handle, but it's called The Masks of Death, and it's a D&D 5e game that we play on Thursday nights. I forget. I think it's like 8 Eastern. I'm in Central, so I play at 7 Central. So that's what I know. And that's a really fun game.
Yeah.
If you want to check it out.
Awesome. That's I've plugged Oh Baby in chat there. She's also in our Curse of Strahd campaign on Tuesdays.
You should check out Anna's Twitter and I think
Yes.
Instagram. She posts amazing photography too, and she is a bug mom. And
Bug mom.
she has so much of interest to consume. The most beautiful mantises I've ever seen. I had no idea that mantids.
Yes. If you are tired of the same
came
old
in such
thing on
forms.
Twitter, follow Anna.
As well as being an incredibly varied human being with a lot of interests and a lot of storytelling potential, we will get her DMing us and doing that. So yeah, go check out Anna. I'm super excited for future projects with her.
And
Thank
Maladale
you so much.
Maladale is fangirling that you followed him. Like like
Me?
you followed someone and then you made them happy.
I like to be friends with everybody. That's why. I just want to be
Before-
friends with everybody.
Before we wrap, Anna, will you do your eyebrow thing?
Everybody shut up. Anna's going to do the eyebrow.
Yeah, I glued down my eyebrows today because I had an extra hour of nothing, so I decided I was gonna like glue down my real eyebrows and draw on the 20s eyebrows, but they go halfway up to my forehead, and it makes me laugh like this. I get really entertained just looking in the camera. See, they're in the middle of my face. I love them. I love any chance to get into a weird costume, so thanks.
More than welcome. We love having weird costumes, so thanks.
Oh, and sorry,
yes.
Neventer is in chat too. We play a really cool campaign on every other Sunday. We haven't been able to the last few weeks, but it's a Stars Without Number, and it's like a space magic campaign, and it's really cool. He's in chat, so.
Yeah, awesome. I've given them a shout out as well. Go and check out Anna there, you guys. Well, that takes us around to last but most certainly not least. Thank you so much for making it today, Charlie. And we know you had a day, and thank you for coming and doing this with us. You're amazing. Please, speak now.
Speak now. Forever hold your peace. Thank you so much for being open to doing Q&A today. I've had the best time just sitting, talking to amazing people in chat and in this group. I love DMing this. I was so excited for Cabin in the Woods, and I'm so excited that we're going to go there next week when I'm in a good frame of mind to do that. As for all the things I could plug, so many things. But I am back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST for D&D, DM'd by the wonderful Scrat, Wizards and Wardrobes, playing Dave, my Kenku. And on that front, we are going to be giving away little books of Dave. I have 3 that I'm going to get made up that are basically your guide to all of Dave's phrases with translations so that you too can speak Kenku. And that's in celebration of Scrat hitting his monthly goal in his first month, which is incredible, and 100% down to chat and the people supporting, as well as the wonderful content that he obviously puts all of his time and effort into with Alice for the channel. So yes, and then Wednesdays I play Warhammer on Encounter Roleplay at 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern. I love that so much. Through that, I've met so many amazing people, including Alice, and that's kind of why I'm here. And on Fridays, I do Roll Up, which is my show all about different systems where I try and make things slightly less intimidating as we have a look at how you can make characters in different systems. And this week, we're going to start on City of Mists. And I'm talking about that with the wonderful Will Jones, the D&D sex icon.
You lucky girl.
But,
I got to rub his back once in a field.
I had Alice through chicken once with him.
Yeah. It's
Oh God, how far has that traveled?
But yeah, I'm really excited about City of Mist. It's a really cool system that combines mythology and noir, and Alice has mentioned it here. And
I want to play it.
really cool system that I'm looking forward to talking about.
I want to play it again. I want to run it.
I've shouted out Hermley in chat as well. Hermley is an artist who has helped us. He did the Wizards and Wardrobes art for last season, and this season he did, correct me if I'm wrong, he did the line art for these character
Yes, he
things,
did
and you did
the
coloring?
line art and design for the Call of Cthulhu characters. I did the coloring because we were on a time crunch.
Yeah.
But Ham does amazing art. He did me a full poster, which has, I think, 6 or 7 of my characters from this year in a really dramatic alley scene. And it's incredible. And it came to me on a day that I was having a shitty day. So that was a really cool gift from Ham. But he's a really affordable and diverse creative brain. So whether it's D&D, Call of Cthulhu, Invisible Sun characters, just have a word with Ham. His commissions are open. Well worth it. Yes.
Yes,
Ham.
indeed. Well,
He's also a really great DM. So if you ever get a chance to play one of his one-shots,
Ooh.
recommend.
Ooh.
I see Scrap taking notes.
Yeah, no, add that to the list of pity tales. That's not the right word. Pity. Sidetrack is the word I'm trying to think of. There's a word for sidetrack. Anyway, never mind. Guys, that video's coming. I'm going to keep dangling that carrot. You guys stay in chat. It's going to come. I think today our raid war cry should be something to do with just something regular, I guess, like school's out or Cthulhu's out or Cthulhu's in session. I don't know. Something
What
like that.
about
Cthulhu.
what about X's and O's?
X's and O's. That would work. XOYO triple X. That's a song that you shouldn't listen to. X's and O's.
Where's my carafe?
Where's my So one time on stream, I asked or in the green room before we came live, I asked Alice if I could have a carafe of water. And
It's a thing now.
The thing.
and now it's
Very
my
quiet. I had just met these folks. It's very quiet. Alice, my dear, would you bring me a carafe of water? And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, you gotta bring that back. It's like music floating through the trees. It's magic. I'll have one too. Thank you. And could you bring the car around? So much.
Anyway,
Magic.
social links. If you guys have enjoyed us talk about safety and inclusion, safety tools and all that sort of stuff, come and get in our Discord. We have discussions, not necessarily related like this all the time, but it is a community where we promote those same ideals. So get in there and be part of it. And if you want to come and play in this lovely safe environment, send me a DM on Twitter and we'll get you a game. I still have spaces before the end of the year, and I can see even while we've been streaming, I've got more DMs coming in asking me for more. So if you want them, get in there quick. And YouTube is now a well-oiled machine. That's the wrong link, though. That is the wrong link. I wonder if that link... I wonder if that link will...
The channel's going great.
Okay, no, that link still works. Okay, you can use that link, and it will still take you to my channel. I've got a custom URL now that I made, and I've forgotten to update everything to include the custom URL. But that will still work. Click on it, go and look at it. It's very pretty. Everything's got thumbnails. Everything's got, everything that it needs. It's really pretty. It's nice. It gets automatically updated. YouTube, my feedback to you is I need more options for customizing my automatic uploads to Twitter, please. That is my request. If YouTube is listening, if any of you know YouTube and you can get them on the phone, please do that. Yeah, so we are full time. We've already hit our monthly goal. We've got 2 days left for our stretch goal, which is at 10 Gen Con, which may or may not happen. We're not. Honestly, we weren't even expecting to hit our monthly cost, especially in the first month.
Congratulations.
So, thank you so much, everyone. That is a huge turnout for us. You guys have really been there for us. We massively appreciate it. You can also support us in other ways. We have a Patreon where you can pay as much as you like a month, like, you know, $1, $5, $10, whatever you want. You know, it's a pick and choose sort of thing. We also have merchandise, so if you want to support us by getting something that not only does it contribute towards our funds, it also gives you something where you can promote us, you can get it there. We have sponsors. We have Bird in the Storm, who are going to be creating content for us in the January season. And also they've got a second module coming out soon, which will be amazing too. We're going to be playing that Midnight Wield from a one-shot long ago, which I haven't actually uploaded to YouTube yet, 'cause it's still in the old format, but probably should. Or have I uploaded it? I'm not sure. We'll figure it out.
One of the most important things you can do for free as well is just retweeting these streams, retweeting any posts that you see coming from Scrat or Alice about this channel that is saying something important to you, following on Twitter and the other social medias. Because it makes so much of a difference, and that's how I found this channel and how a lot of people find this channel. And if you want, you know, people to join something that you think is good, tell them about it.
Definitely. Please. And yeah, feel free to tag me in your message to someone else, like, hey, I think you would be interested in this. Like, what I often find is I get tagged on like the 3rd or 4th message. Someone's like, oh, hey, you should go and look at this thing. Oh, here's it. And then eventually it comes out. You can at me, okay? I know it's the opposite of the don't at me. At me, all right? At me with your shit, and I'll deliver. I promise. We have a second sponsor as well, Maychan Press. There's all their information there. They've got a Patreon. They've got a blog. But also there, you've got the pre-order for their Kickstarter and the 30-page free review. And if you want to see it in action, come here at this same time slot, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. EST, on Thursdays when Alice runs Argo 37, which is D&D in space, set in the dark matter system. Great fun. Great fun. How much is too much, says Malhadale with free ats. What else have we got? We've got a competition running still, I think. If not, I'll have another one running very soon. Get in on it. You guys can win yourself some Rainbow Pride dice. I'll ship them anywhere in the world. Why wouldn't you? Get in on it. If you already follow me on Twitter, if you already follow me on Twitch, and if you already are subscribed to me on YouTube, that's 3 entries you've got right there for nothing. There's only one more, and that's retweeting a tweet. So you've got as good a chance as anyone. Just go and click on the competition. And lastly, we will be doing a raid. We will be doing a little raidy-roo. We are gonna go and find someone.
After the surprise.
After the surprise.
Yeah.
I could just see you forgetting it.
Yeah, right?
No, I'm not gonna forget it. I'm not gonna forget it. I can feel everyone panicking. It's okay. I'm not gonna forget. Today we're gonna go and raid Susanna Grace.
Oh, I love Susie so much.
Our thing is gonna be X's and not zeros, O's.
Susie is another wonderful female DM and player. Does really great horror stuff. She was my DM for a 2-shot set in Curse of Strahd. She does the viewer game on Encounter Roleplay this season. Just an incredible human being as well. She streams like 5 days a week, various variety gaming.
Yeah. We've met her in person as well, and she's just as awesome.
Lovely person.
She's an Amazonian goddess.
She is, isn't she? She's so tall and beautiful. Bless her cottons.
So much.
Right, so there it is. X's and O's. It's in chat. It's in chat with Scrat Hype as well. So when we get over there, use it. But first, ladies and gentlemen, let me just tone down the music. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you next week. Please enjoy this this preview of next week. Keep on evoking emotions. We will see you later.